Understanding sibling rivalry. Why kids fight and what every parent needs to know. Have your children ever argued over something so small that you couldn't believe it? One wants the blue cup and the other suddenly wants the exact same cup, even though they ignored it 5 minutes ago. Or maybe you've wondered, why can't my kids just get along? Today we're going to talk about sibling rivalry, why it happens when it's perfectly normal when it becomes a concern, and most importantly, what you can do to help your children build a stronger relationship that lasts a lifetime. Because believe it or not, sibling rivalry isn't always a bad thing. Hi everyone and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm so happy you've joined our parenting community. Parenting is one of life's greatest joys, but it also comes with plenty of challenges. One challenge almost every parent faces is helping brothers and sisters learn to live together peacefully. Whether your children are toddlers, school-aged, or teenagers, sibling rivalry can show up in many different ways. I've learned over the years that children can go from laughing together one minute to arguing the next. Sometimes it happens so quickly you don't even know what started it. If you've ever found yourself playing referee several times a day, don't worry. You're in good company. Today I'll share why sibling rivalry happens, what your children's behavior may actually be telling you, and practical ways to reduce conflict while helping your children build stronger relationships. What is sibling rivalry? Let's begin with the basics. Sibling rivalry is simply the competition, disagreements, and occasional conflict that naturally occur between brothers and sisters. It can look like fighting over toys, arguing about fairness, competing for attention, jealousy, name-calling, constant teasing, or trying to prove who's better. Sound familiar? The important thing to remember is that sibling rivalry is incredibly common. In fact, if your children occasionally disagree, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It actually means they're learning how relationships work. Think about it. Your children spend more time with each other than almost anyone else. They're learning how to share, how to compromise, how to communicate, and yes, how to disagree. Those are skills they'll use for the rest of their lives. The goal isn't to eliminate every disagreement. The goal is to teach children how to handle disagreements respectfully, and that's a life skill. Why do siblings fight? For attention. One of the biggest reasons children fight is because they're looking for attention. Children crave connection with their parents. Sometimes they don't care whether that attention is positive or negative. If they feel overlooked, even for a moment, they may start teasing a sibling simply because they know it will get your attention. It isn't always about the toy. Sometimes it's about wanting to feel seen. For fairness. Children have an incredible radar for fairness. Have you ever heard, "That's not fair"? Most parents probably hear those words every week or even daily. The interesting thing is that children often confuse fairness with equality. They think everything has to be exactly the same. But fairness doesn't always mean identical. Each child has different needs. One child may need more help with homework. Another might need extra comfort after a difficult day. Helping children understand this can reduce many arguments over time. They have different personalities. Every child is wonderfully unique. One may be outgoing and adventurous, while another may be quiet and cautious. One might like everything neat and organized, while the other seems perfectly happy living in creative chaos. Neither personality is wrong, they're simply different. But different personalities can sometimes create friction, especially when children don't yet understand that people naturally see the world differently. Comparisons. Competition is another major cause of sibling rivalry. Children naturally compare themselves. Who runs faster? Who scores more goals? Who gets better grades? Who finishes dinner first? Who mom praises more? Who dad spends more time with? These comparisons can quietly build feelings of jealousy or insecurity if we're not careful. That's why it's so important to celebrate each child's individual strengths instead of comparing them to one another, because every child has something special to offer. Looking beneath the surface. Before we jump into solutions, I want to encourage you to look a little deeper. When children are arguing, it's easy to focus on the shouting, the pushing, or the tears, but as parents, we need to ask ourselves something even more important. What's really going on here? Many disagreements aren't about the toy, the game, or whose turn it is. They're often about feelings. Children don't always have the words to say, "I feel left out. I wish I had more time with mom," or I don't think I'm as good as my brother. Instead, those feelings come out through arguments. When we begin to understand that, we stop seeing our children as being difficult and start seeing them as children who need guidance. And that small shift in perspective can make a huge difference. The emotional effects of sibling rivalry. Self-esteem. One of the biggest effects sibling rivalry can have is on a child's self-esteem. Children naturally compare themselves to their brothers and sisters. If one child is praised more often, gets better grades, excels at sports, or seems to find everything easier, another child may begin believing they simply aren't good enough. The truth is, every child develops at their own pace. Every child has different gifts. Our job isn't to help them become better than their siblings. Our job is to help them become the very best version of themselves. That's a message every child deserves to hear. Stress and anxiety. Constant conflict can also create stress. Children may begin expecting arguments before they even happen. Some become anxious, others become withdrawn, and some children even start avoiding family activities because they expect another fight. Home should be a place where children feel safe. That doesn't mean life will always be peaceful, but it does mean they should know that disagreements can be worked through with kindness and respect. Big emotions. Sibling rivalry often brings out some very big emotions. Jealousy, frustration, resentment, embarrassment, and even guilt. The important thing to remember is that none of these feelings make a child bad because these feelings are normal. It's how children learn to manage the feelings that really matters. That's why instead of saying, "Stop being jealous," we might say, "It looks like you're feeling left out. Let's talk about it." Just helping a child name their feelings can begin calming their nervous system. It's a small parenting tool, but it's incredibly powerful. The behavioral effects parents may notice. Sometimes sibling rivalry becomes physical. Pushing, hitting, throwing toys, or hurtful words. These behaviors shouldn't be ignored, but they also shouldn't automatically be met with anger. Aggression is often a sign that children haven't yet learned healthier ways to solve problems. That's something we can teach. School and friendships. Stress at home can affect other parts of a child's life too. Children who experience ongoing conflict may have trouble concentrating at school. Some become irritable, and others may struggle making or keeping friendships because they haven't yet learned healthy conflict resolution. However, once they do learn these skills at home, they often carry them into every relationship they'll have throughout life. 5 parenting mistakes that can make sibling rivalry worse. Mistake number 1: comparing your children. This is probably the biggest mistake, and one most of us have made without even realizing it. Comments like, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" or "Your brother finished his homework already." Even if they're meant to encourage, comparisons usually do the opposite, like they may create resentment. Instead, celebrate each child's progress. Remember, your children aren't supposed to be competing against each other, they're just growing into different people. Mistake number 2: taking sides too quickly. When we hear yelling, our first instinct is often to decide who's right and who's wrong, but if we immediately choose one child's side, another child may feel unheard. Instead, we need to pause and listen to both children. Sometimes both have contributed to the disagreement. Helping them tell their side calmly teaches far more than assigning blame. Mistake number 3: expecting older siblings to always give in. Older children often hear things like, "You're older. You should know better." While older children may have more maturity, they still have feelings too. They shouldn't always be expected to sacrifice simply because they're older. Treating each child fairly builds trust. Mistake number 4: solving every problem yourself. It's tempting to jump in and fix every argument. I've certainly done it. But when we solve every problem, children miss opportunities to learn. Sometimes our role is simply to coach, ask questions, guide them, encourage listening, and help them find a solution together. Those are skills they'll use for the rest of their lives. Mistake number 5: only noticing bad behavior. Here's one of my favorite parenting tips. Catch your children getting along. We often notice arguments immediately, but cooperation, sometimes it slips right past us. The next time your children share, help one another, or solve a disagreement peacefully, say something to them like, "I noticed how kindly you shared your toys. That was really thoughtful." Positive attention encourages children to repeat positive behavior. It's amazing how powerful encouragement can be. Practical strategies that really work. The wonderful thing is that small changes in the way we parent can make a big difference over time. Every disagreement is an opportunity to teach, and every challenge is a chance for growth. Celebrate each child's individuality. One of the best ways to reduce sibling rivalry is to celebrate each child for who they are. Children don't need to be the same, in fact, they shouldn't be. One child may love sports, another may enjoy music. One might be a natural leader, and another might have a kind and gentle heart that makes everyone around them feel loved. Those differences are worth celebrating. Try to avoid labels like, "She's the smart one," "He's the athletic one," or "She's the shy one." Even positive labels can make children feel trapped. Instead, notice effort, praise kindness, and celebrate perseverance. Help each child discover their own unique strengths instead of measuring themselves against their siblings. Spend one-on-one time together. Here's something that can make a huge difference. Spend individual time with each child whenever you can. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I barely have enough hours in the day. Believe me, I understand, but individual time doesn't have to be expensive or take hours. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes. Reading together before bed, going for a short walk, baking muffins together, or playing a quick game. When children know they have your attention, they're often less likely to compete for it. These small moments fill their emotional cup, and when that cup is full, conflict often becomes less frequent. Teach problem solving instead of punishing. When arguments happen, and they will, try to see them as teaching moments instead of interruptions. Rather than immediately deciding who was right or wrong, encourage your children to work through the problem. You might ask questions like, "Can each of you tell me what happened? How do you think your brother felt? What could we do differently next time?" Or, "Can you think of a solution that feels fair to both of you?" These questions encourage children to think rather than simply react. They learn empathy, they learn responsibility, and they begin to understand that conflicts can be solved peacefully. These are skills that will benefit them not only with siblings but with friends, classmates, future coworkers, and even their own families one day. Model the behavior you want to see. Have you ever noticed how much children learn simply by watching us? Our children are always paying attention. They're watching how we speak to our spouse, how we respond when we're frustrated, how we handle disappointment, and how we apologize when we're wrong. If we want our children to communicate respectfully, they need to see respectful communication at home. That doesn't mean we have to be perfect. In fact, one of the most powerful lessons we can teach is how to admit when we've made a mistake. Saying, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have raised my voice," or, "Let's try that conversation again," shows our children that everyone is learning, including us. Knowing when to seek extra support. While sibling rivalry is a normal part of growing up, there are times when it's important to seek additional support. If the conflict becomes constant, if one child is being repeatedly bullied, if there's serious physical aggression, or if you notice ongoing anxiety, depression, fear, or emotional withdrawal, don't hesitate to ask for help. Speaking with your child's doctor, a family counselor, or a child psychologist doesn't mean you've failed as a parent. In fact, it shows incredible strength. Sometimes a fresh perspective and a few practical tools are all a family needs to get back on track. Remember, asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. The surprising benefits of sibling rivalry. Now here's something I hope encourages you. Not all sibling rivalry is bad. In fact, healthy conflict can actually prepare children for life. Through disagreements, children learn how to negotiate, how to compromise, how to stand up for themselves respectfully, how to listen, how to forgive, how to solve problems, and perhaps most importantly, they learn that relationships can survive disagreements. That's an incredibly valuable lesson. Many sibling relationships become stronger with time. The brother or sister who drove them crazy as children often becomes their closest friend as adults. Someone who understands their childhood, shares family memories, celebrates life's milestones, and stands beside them during difficult seasons. Those lifelong relationships are worth investing in. I'd love to hear from you. Do your children have a funny sibling rivalry story, or have you found a strategy that's helped bring more peace to your home? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another parent needs to hear today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with another parent who could use a little encouragement. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep parenting with patience and love.